Hey y'all, welcome back. Contessa here with your Friday Fright. And if you're asking, Contessa, what is a Friday Fright? Well, buckle up because it's just a screenshot drop. Screenshots of conversations that have taken place throughout the Marvon McCrae story that the people involved in the screenshots don't really want everyone to see. In today's Friday Fright, we're going to rewind a little bit to the beginning of the refund discussion. If you've been following along the Marvon McCrae story, you know that Letitia Bias, the biologic mother of Marvon McCrae, and Marvon Jackson Sr., the biologic father of Marvon McCrae, and his wife, Wynette Jackson, have been fundraising. Creators on YouTube and also other platforms have been fundraising for the family. And if you're just catching up now, there is a lot of information that has taken place in the last 15 weeks that Marvon has been in a coma in Yuma, Arizona. And yes, if you stick around to the end of this video, I will be addressing the current status of the investigation that people are talking about that is currently happening on Letitia Bias. Over the last 6 weeks, I have given a couple updates in regards to refund requests that had been submitted to Letitia Bias for donations that had been given to Letitia, but people had started to realize things weren't as we all thought they were. Many people had started asking questions about the overall goal of the fundraising efforts, what the money was actually being spent on currently, and how much of a goal were they trying to reach because nobody was giving consistent information whatsoever. And as you all know, if you asked questions about where the monies were going to, you were attacked by either the creators themselves, admins for the group, you were blocked, shunned, some have been even doxxed by certain creators for asking about refunds. Fundraising efforts did start for Letitia Bias on June 26th, 2022. Marvon Sr. had already been to Arizona to visit Marvon Jr. by June 26th, 2022. So fundraising for the Jacksons didn't start until after they returned from Arizona. And the fundraising efforts for them were for a return trip to Arizona. What you're seeing across the screen now is posts by the admins of the Justice for Vaughn and Exposing Dre McCrae groups. These are kind of ironic posts, and you'll see why very shortly. But if you want to read them in depth, pause to read as they go by. From these posts, you would think that these admins encouraged questions to be asked and were seeking transparency. However, let's look at messages from their group chat. It starts off, oh my god, I just seen that people are asking the same things, and what the fuck up with Judy? I thought she was good. What the fuck? Hopefully she doesn't have to spend days answering questions. People are cuckoo. Tony continues, yeah, Judy is a total bitch, and her friend Kathy too. They think they can do anything because if not, Cartman will call us out again. Brittany pops in and says, good afternoon. Judy is a rude C word. LOL. Kathy is her sidekick. LMAO. She is the twat. Brittany continues, sick. Letitia explained the whole money thing on live. Tony says, yeah, I'm watching now. Brittany responds, she's thanking everyone about the good she saw on this group. Gigi says, did just ask for what back? Letitia said that it wasn't only Katie who asked for their money back, it was a lot of people. Wonder if Judy did, so we can go after that bitch. Brittany continues, one was 600 and then Katie's was 1,000. I don't know anymore yet. Gigi continues, why isn't she blocked yet? Gigi continues, oh my god, I forgot to tell you guys that it wasn't Judy because Judy can't ask for her money back because she donated in Cash App. And when all that stuff is happening, me and Letitia came up with an idea for her to block her from her Cash App. And yes, we will be coming back to that, what she just said right there, because that's a problem. Why were they going in and blocking people before people could start even asking for requests? Anybody else think that's a little fishy? And I'm sure most of you have seen the clips of the videos where Molly and her followers come up on panel and talk about how to block people off Cash App so they could not ask for refunds. But we'll get into that. Gigi pops in with a little sad face and then a laughing ha 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 ha. And then she says, Letitia just reminded me, ha 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 ha. And as you can see, scrolling across the screen, there is the initial payment from Judy to Letitia on July 6th for $500. Then you will see that she requested a refund of $500 on Cash App, which it's interesting because Gigi just said she was blocked off of the Cash App. And then you'll see the denial of that request. So before they blocked her, they were denying refund requests that Judy had sent. Now we will look back at some of their other messages that they had dropped in the group. You'll see that they absolutely were 100% pissed off about anybody asking for refunds. But this was after Letitia had gone live with Molly and said, hey, anybody that wants a refund, they can get a refund. Letitia said that herself, and Molly followed up with it. But you'll see in these messages that Letitia's more concerned about roasting Judy than she is about anything revolving around the refunds of the donations. And Molly was even reached out to and explained the situation to see if she could do anything. And the creator of the group had reached out to Letitia to try and settle this issue offline before it got brought to social media too. They claim that over $5,100 worth of refunds have been given. And yes, Judy totally walked away and told Letitia she could keep the $500. But there is other people that are still waiting on refunds. And Judy keeps being dragged through the mud. Everybody that asks for a refund has been dragged through the mud continually by this group of individuals and creators. But my question is why was Judy harassed endlessly by admins from this group and Letitia Bias herself and Molly Golightly, and yet never given a refund? Ever. But yet there was $5,100 refunded to other people, but Judy wasn't included in that, or the gal who is pregnant that she promised to pay back the $500, or the other big donations that have been asked for refunds and ignored. But yet $5,100 you guys claim has been refunded, and not a single person can prove it because nobody has refunds to show, not a single person. I don't understand because this was back on July 26th that the admins were thinking it was real funny to harass Judy and or block her out of their group or block her off Cash App. If everything was on the up and up, this was before the issues that we have at the present time. Why wouldn't Judy have been one of the very first to be refunded? Was it just always better to roast her, as Letitia says, or call her such horrible names? Judy is a woman in her 50s. We're not talking about just some little girl that has a vendetta. We're talking about a lady that has good intention. He started asking questions because there were so many holes in the story. And yes, her and the creator of the group had problem for a moment. They got over that. The other admins obviously didn't like that. But it doesn't make sense, any of this. I do know that many people are talking about an active investigation into the refund situation and or donations that Letitia Bias has collected. The information I have gathered is that the investigation is in regards to refunds that she has claimed have been issued or will be issued and a failure of promise to pay on those refunds. I do know that they have encouraged anybody with additional information to reach out to the Savannah, Georgia Police Department, and that information can be found on multiple Facebook groups. There is actually a link on my Facebook page currently with the group to join that has the most up to date on the refund situation. At this point, I don't think anybody is shocked by the admins saying that Letitia and them were working on figuring out how to block people like Judy off Cash App, or that the admins were calling her names. Yet I find the posts that these admins made at the start of their group and continually made throughout about stop bullying, everybody can ask questions, transparency, are just extremely ironic. It just keeps getting worse and worse because we find out every day that there's been so much more done behind the scenes, and we are not any closer to any solid answers in this story. But still, I really don't understand how with $5,100 worth of refunds that these were some of the very ones that they denied and blocked the entire time. So you're telling me that she selected other people besides these few people that we know have asked for refunds and been denied. So she literally had been blocking people off of Cash App all along and denying refund requests, but all of a sudden she just selected people that totaled $5,100 in refunds, but didn't get any of the ones that actually came out and asked for refunds publicly. Oh, because they were just to be roasted and or doxxed? Is that how I'm following this? Because none of this makes sense. Again, not a single piece of this makes any sense. Except for you have a bunch of mean girls acting like mean girls who never had any intentions on refunding or transparency from the get go. And yet, there's still no proof of a single refund or anything totaling $5,100 that they've shown anybody. As far as the admins, unfortunately, no, I'm not shocked by their behavior at all anymore to this point. There was actually a ton of screenshots that we have not even gotten through yet of things that they have all said and or done or participated in. So the fact that they ultimately just tried to kind of run and hide, it seems like, is really interesting considering they were so involved for so long, especially with Letitia herself. And once again, we know that they never intended on anybody seeing these private chats, but that's because they don't think that what they have done is wrong. It's really interesting because still at this point, they're defending their actions. Mind blowing to me, but there's all sorts of people out there, I guess. Anyways, tell me what you think. Contessa, over and out.